Welcome to North TV's election coverage. This is the debate for the 9th Norfolk District State Representative seat. Unfortunately, only one of the candidates accepted our invitation. He is Democrat and challenger Kevin Calcutt. Republican incumbent Marcus Vaughn declined our invitation to debate this evening, and I should be perfectly clear, Marcus Vaughn does do some color commentary on high school football for us, so no special treatment, etc. He just declined the invitation to debate this evening. But Kevin Calcutt is here. We are going to treat this as if it's a debate, as if it's an actual debate, and not the type of one-on-one interview that we recorded last week. So Kevin will have time for an opening statement. He'll answer questions from me. He'll have time for a closing statement, and then we'll wrap it up. And he will be timed on each of those answers, just like it would be if Marcus was indeed with us. So Kevin, welcome to the North TV studio. Time for an opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you everybody here at North TV for hosting this incredibly important forum. It's very important for voters to be able to get the perspective of candidates so that they go into the ballot boxes with the most complete picture of who represents them best. My name is Kevin Calcutt, and I am obviously a candidate for the 9th Norfolk State Representative seat. I am a resident of Norfolk, where I reside with my amazing wife, Erica, and my 3 boys, Colin, Ryan, and Owen, who are ages 12, 9, and 7. That's right, I am right in the thick of it. That being said, we have a great perspective as to what families are facing here in the Commonwealth these days. And on top of that, I am also a local official. I have served on the planning board, the select board where I was chair for 3 years, on the county advisory board, on the master plan committee, on the town center zoning committee, on the MBTA advisory board. The list goes on and on. But all of that leads into a dedicated and completely committed effort to making our communities better. That's why I'm running for the seat of state representative, to carry forward that local experience and that real world experience into the best representative seat we need on Beacon Hill.
Thank you, Kevin. First question, and you will have 90 seconds to answer. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing Massachusetts and your district over the next 2 years? And if elected, what will you be able to do to help overcome that challenge?
Thank you. Great question, Peter. I would say that the biggest issue facing our district is local aid and funding. As it stands right now, and during my experience as a select board member, you're able to identify exactly what the downstream impacts of some of the decisions being made on Beacon Hill mean for our communities, particularly as it pertains to school funding. As it stands right now, there are towns within our district who are having to go for operational overrides to simply bridge funding to keep level balanced services from a year-to-year basis. That is completely unacceptable, and we need to do a better job to ensure that these small communities are not falling behind. If you look at the recent MCAS scores that just came out, they identify that there is a distinct continued impact from the loss of learning that occurred during COVID. We need to do more to be able to bridge the funding on the resources necessary to slow and turn that around so that we can ensure our students are best set up for the future. In addition, special education funding, regional transportation funding, all these items that have continued to batter local budgets and make select boards have to make impossible decisions on an annual basis need to change. And I look forward to bringing a local perspective to be able to make people understand why they need to change, how they need to change, and when they need to change.
Question number 2. Many people claim that Massachusetts is a one-party state, finding fault in that. Do you believe that Massachusetts is a one-party state? And if so, who is to blame?
Another great question, Peter. Thank you. Obviously, if you look at the designation breakdown, there is a majority of Democrats that currently reside up in the legislature. But coming from a local official standpoint, you don't have a letter next to your name when you're operating in local government. You're just intending and expected to represent the interests of your community at large. I can tell you right now that over my 7 years of local experience, I don't think anybody could have told if I was a Democrat or if I was a Republican or what my political affiliation was. That's the same approach I'm going to bring to Beacon Hill. It is going to be about representing the interests of my constituents and understanding and how I can best advocate for them within those forums. And I think we need more of that these days in politics, because as it stands right now, just looking at the national stage, there is a little bit too much of the partisanship that's causing a divide.
Question number 3. Massachusetts consistently ranks at the top or near the top of all states when it comes to education. That being the case, do you support the elimination of the MCAS as a high school graduation requirement? If voters should eliminate that requirement on November 5th, would you, as a legislator, want another threshold put in place?
Great question. Thank you, Peter. So obviously, I just identified that I have 3 children that are in elementary school and one that just went into middle school. So we're very familiar with the impact of MCAS, how they're administered, and how students prepare. Over the course of that time, I've also had the opportunity to engage with teachers in our district, administrators, those who are tasked with being able to ensure that those tests are most effectively leveraged to identify progress and be able to identify where more resources are required to bring everybody up to speed. From my perspective, hearing stories about individuals who are having problems with standardized testing to be able to graduate is a real problem. If you have individuals who have intellectual or developmental disorders or on IEPs or just have problems with standardized testing, making them take the test 4 times to graduate, and then if they don't, only being able to leave high school with a certificate of completion just does not seem equitable from my perspective. So to that end, I agree with the elimination of MCAS as a graduation requirement. I still believe that there is great value to maintaining MCAS to be able to identify progress and where help is needed, and I would support any kind of additional thresholds after we have the opportunity to be able to flesh them out.
The 2 communities North TV serves, North Attleboro and Plainville, have made tremendous strides in making local government as transparent as possible. When it comes to state government, however, especially at the legislative level, the opposite seems to be true. Do you believe House leadership is as transparent as they should be? And if not, what would you do over the next 2 years if elected to help improve transparency?
So I will say first and foremost that as a local official, I actually ran on a transparency platform when I was running for the select board. There was an opportunity to be able to ensure that residents were included and had impact on some of the decision-making processes at the local level. To be able to do that, we opened up the budget process to do a full-day presentation on a Saturday where residents were able to come in, question department heads as they presented their budgets, and did a full outline about where they stand on a year-to-year basis and looking ahead for the next 5 years. In addition to that, we also instituted office hours where residents had the opportunity to come in and discuss with us. We started doing cable shows to help consolidate the information that goes across 9 hours of committee and board meetings in a town. We started a quarterly newsletter to be able to inform residents via another means of communication. And high level, it just remained a priority for us as we identified the opportunities to keep people more engaged. There is an auditor question, that is ballot question 1 this time around. I have had great interactions with Auditor DiZoglio. We ran together in 2022, and I had a great chance to be able to understand more about her perspective. And I've had the opportunity to speak with her over the course of the last couple of months about what she's proposing. I support ballot question 1. I believe it'll be a good thing for Massachusetts. I do understand that there will be an impending court case to identify the constitutionality of one legislative branch having oversight over another, but I look forward to the outcome of that court case and still do support the question as it stands today.
Question number 5. The collapse of Steward Healthcare has put a strain on the state's other hospitals. What can the state do, specifically the legislature, to make sure this type of event does not happen again and assure residents will have access to health care close to where they live?
So, great question, thank you. First and foremost, Norwood Hospital has been an incredible impact for our district. In Norfolk, we've seen what this means for our ambulatory services having to travel to Milton or to Needham or to areas that were much further away than were attended. For municipalities that have very strict budgeting and forecasting for the miles being put on these ambulances, this is going to be an impact for the future. And on top of that, there's also a public safety aspect of this about the time it's going to take to be able to get people the services they need in a time of emergency. To that end, I attended the Norwood Hospital community forum that happened last week up in Norwood, and I got to hear from employees, from residents, and from select board members pleading with the individuals that were leading the meeting to extend the license past November 5th when it's set to expire to allow them to continue to provide critical services during the potential rebuild period. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Steward is going to follow through with its commitment to be able to rebuild that hospital and get it back open again. But from my perspective, I eagerly look forward to partnering with Rep. John Rogers, who has been at the forefront of ensuring that that hospital does stay in service and being able to support any of the initiatives we can to ensure that everybody has equitable access to health care.
This may be the fastest debate I've ever moderated. Final question. What fears you the most if Marcus Vaughn is reelected to a 2-year term serving our district?
Great question, first and foremost. I don't know if I hold any fears. I think that the biggest thing I feel is regret for our communities. As it stands right now, our state representative is split between 3 professional jobs. And no matter whether you can or you cannot do that, something is not being given the attention it deserves. And in some cases, you see that come out in terms of missed votes on priority bills, or lack of earmarked funding, or even just the lack of developed relationships to be able to be successful and deliver for your district up on Beacon Hill. From my perspective, I see that there is a system in place right now where Prop 2.5 and rising municipal costs do not keep up with the aid that we're getting from our state government. So our municipalities are hurting. They need more support, and they need somebody who's ready to be able to give that full-time, dedicated commitment to the role to ensure that we're being advocated for in the most complete way possible. From my perspective, I've already made plans to leave my career, to take on a full-time commitment for this job and ensure that we're delivering for our communities. So from that point forward, I truly believe that that is the way that our district thrives and how we succeed in the future.
Time for a closing statement. You have 3 minutes. Seems like you just got here, but you have 3 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, that was the best lightning round debate I think I've ever done. I do feel like we were able to cover a lot of the important issues that are currently before our community, but I'll just leave everybody with this. You know, as a local official, I understand what our communities are going through. In some cases, I may get a little bit too intricate with my ideas and solutions for the problems that we're facing, but that's because of my understanding and empathy and full-hearted commitment to local service for our towns and boards and committees. I am running to be able to give this district what it deserves in terms of full-time commitment up on Beacon Hill. I have forged relationships, I have outreach to people who operate around our district, and I look forward to putting us in the best position possible to be able to thrive in the future. There are a lot of long-standing problems that are coming down the pike for us as they pertain to local operating budgets, as they pertain to migrant housing, as they pertain to healthcare access, and we need somebody who's going to be there advocating for the needs of our communities, absent of any kind of political influence. It is all about delivering for the communities at hand, and that is what you will get with me as your state representative. So I urge you, get out to vote. There's a couple of days left for early voting. The polls will be open on November 5th. And if you want more information on me or my campaign, please feel free to visit my website, calcut4rep.com.
Thank you, Kevin. For those of you watching at home, it's now up to you. As Kevin mentioned, early voting is underway. We'll be wrapping up soon. Also, mail-in voting is still going on. And of course, Election Day, November 5th, polls open at 7 a.m. They will close at 8 p.m. Plainville residents, of course, will cast ballots in the Public Safety Building behind Town Hall and also the Public Library. This debate, along with my one-on-one interviews with Kevin Calcutt and Marcus Vaughn, will be replayed through the close of polls on November 5th. They are also available to stream for all Plainville and all residents throughout the district by going to plainville.northtv.net. This debate can be found in the North TV election coverage folder. The one-on-one interviews that I conducted are available on the in the one-on-one with the candidates folder. Been a long night here at North TV. Want to thank Eric Kugler, our timer this evening, and Chris Miller, the man behind the scenes directing both this debate and our earlier debate. Don't forget, November 5th, 7 a.m. Hope to see you at the polls. North TV will not have live election coverage, but I assure you the Boston TV stations, as part of their presidential coverage, will have the results down at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for watching.